Welcome to Whiskey is a Journey. My name is Peter Fossano, and this is my Monday series where we're taking a look at Irish single pot still whiskeys. Today, we're going to be leaving the Middleton Distillery, and we're going to head back to Teeling. The expression today that we're taking a look at is coming in at cask strength, 55% ABV. This is a Total Wine & More barrel selection. It's natural color, non-chill filter. They're using 50% malted and 50% unmalted barley. It's triple distilled. And this is matured in American virgin oak along with ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks. Doesn't have an age statement. This is a 700 milliliter bottle, and I paid just about $100 for this in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's go ahead and pour it, nose it, taste it, talk about it. And then if you stick around until the end, I'm gonna give it a score. All right, let's get it on the nose. All right, the first thing that I get is a sweetness, which is gonna be followed by a very floral note. Yeah, so the sweetness is quickly overtaken by the floral note. There is a very soft amount of spice and a little bit of vanilla. If I had to pinpoint the sweetness, the fruity sweetness, I would say that it's a little bit of a green grape note. The spice is along the lines of a pepper, not a black pepper, maybe a white pepper. And the floral, I'm not a big flower person, but this just reminds me of, and this might sound a little bit weird, but you know those little plastic caps that they put on the bottom of the stems of the flowers? If you were to take that out, that is what I'm kind of picking up on when I'm talking about a floral note. I wouldn't say that it's waxy, but I do get a little bit floral. And that's my extent with flowers, like the green stems. And then a little bit of a citrus note as well, maybe a lemon peel. I wouldn't say orange. Orange peel and lemon peel and grapefruit are some of the citrus notes that I pick up on whiskey sometimes. I would say this is leaning a little bit more towards the lemon peel than orange and grapefruit. All right, let's go ahead and get it on the palate and see what I think. 55% ABV is really good. I kind of like that intensity of the ethanol. It's a little bit drying. I do get those floral notes, the vanilla. The pot still spice is there, and it's leaning, like I mentioned before, a little bit more on the spicy cooking sides of things, maybe a little bit white pepper, not black pepper. The spice is not very strong, but it's there. And I think a white pepper spice is a little bit more subdued than a black pepper. It's not necessarily in your face. The vanilla notes that I'm picking up on, again, a lot of people pick up a shortbread biscuit in Irish whiskeys. I've never had a shortbread biscuit. I should probably taste one and see if I can pick it up in here. But the majority of the time, I end up getting like those vanilla wafers, just that you get, I guess they're called vanillas. They're in a box. They have those little, it's a round cookie, a little brown on the top. That's what I get when I pick up the vanilla in here. I get those wafers. The citrus note is there as well. There's a little bit of a sting of citrus, and I would say that it's lemon, not orange and not grapefruit. Let me go ahead and get that second sip down, see if I can pull out some oak, see if there's anything that I can pick out that's maybe that sherry barrel. On that note, trying to pinpoint the sherry notes, I would say that this is a lighter fruit. Maybe that crisp little apple is in there. I get some peach, I get some citrus note, that is still in there. The tannin doesn't necessarily radiate like it does with other whiskeys that I've had. It doesn't turn to a bitterness in the back, but it definitely is drying, and those green grapes are definitely coming through. And those floral notes are there. They're not dominating like they were on the nose. And I know the palate is a taste, and I'm not eating flowers, but I would imagine that that very light amount of fragrance will actually kind of get into your mouth, and you get that, the taste of herbal, floral type notes. My initial thoughts, this isn't blowing me away, but it's decent. Let me go ahead and add some water to this and then talk a little bit about Teeling and the legacy of Teeling. I'm not gonna let this sit very long. There are water-soluble particles in whiskey, and when you add the water, they kind of separate. So the first sip that I'm gonna get is probably gonna be a little bit more spicy, but I could be wrong, we'll see. Little history behind Teeling, they opened their doors in 2015. It was the first new distillery in over 125 years to open up in Dublin. And I'm not sure of their titles, but Jack and Stephen are the owner-operators of this current Teeling distillery. And the Teeling family is not new to Irish whiskey. Back in 1782, Walter Teeling actually had a distillery in Dublin, I think just a couple of blocks down from the existing Teeling distillery. And if Jack and Stephen Teeling don't ring a bell, but John Teeling does, it's probably for a good reason. He actually owned the Cooley distillery. Back in 1985, he actually bought a potato distiller out of the Cooley Peninsula. It was a state-owned potato factory or a state-owned potato distillery. He added column stills in 1987 and started distilling whiskey. And I want to make sure I get my dates and my amounts right, so I'm going to refer to my notes. He sold the Cooley Distillery to Beam International in 2012 for $95 million. And then I think within a matter of weeks or months, Beam International was bought up by Suntory, and that deal went down for $16 billion. And now what we have is Beam Suntory, one of the larger beverage companies in the world. And I always found it interesting. Teeling, being a newer distillery, opening or starting to distill in 2015, they immediately started to release some expressions. So within the contract of the selling of Cooley, they ended up negotiating in 16,000 casks of the existing stock of Cooley, and then they were using that to actually kickstart the Teeling distillery. And it looks like we're in maybe this awkward period of time, this transition, when they're starting to run out of those 16,000 casks. And now that Teeling has been producing their own distillate, they're going to start using their own in the bottles. The bottle that I have right now, it doesn't say anything on the bottle that it's actual Teeling distillery from the Dublin location. It does say it on the container that we have. It says that our pot still Irish whiskey is crafted using a recipe of 50% malted and 50% unmalted barley, which was triple distilled in our Dublin distillery. But it doesn't say anything on the bottle. And some of the other bottles that I have of Teeling doesn't mention anything about that distillate or that whiskey being from their Dublin distillery. So I'm not exactly sure what I have and what I don't have. If you guys are sticklers for details and transparency, you might have an issue with that. All right, so I think that's going to be enough time. Let's go ahead and get this third sip down with the water and give you my final thoughts and then give this thing a score. Just like I expected, that first sip after adding water, there is much more spice. The floral note is a little bit more dominant than the sweet note. I would say that the sherry note in that sip is now coming across as the lighter fruit notes. I still get a good amount of vanilla, which I believe is coming from the American Virgin Oak and the ex-bourbon. And speaking of the American Virgin Oak and the ex-bourbon, I do pick up a little bit of the oak. And this not being an age stated, I have no idea. Obviously, it's got to be in the barrels at least 3 years to be a whiskey, but I'm not picking up an over-oaked note in this. Still not blown away by it. So if you guys are new here and you don't know my rating system is out of 5 stars. With this being what it is, cask strength, 55% ABV. It has been consistent from my first sip to my third sip. Now I'm going to try my fourth. I'm not a huge fan of floral notes in the whiskey. The citrus is there, the vanilla is there, grape notes are there. The ABV does radiate a little bit. I do like that. I think that definitely has something going for it. Not big on the drying note. I wouldn't say that this is sharp in any way. Being $100 at cask strength, I think I would have expected a little bit more. And this is all leading up to a score of 3 out of 5 stars. I'm just not that impressed with what they have here. It's not bad, but I would definitely reach for other single pot still Irish whiskeys over this one. What do you guys think? Are you familiar with Teeling? Are you guys familiar with the cask strength offering? Have you had it? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys are new to this channel and you're not subscribed and you like this information, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel? Turn that bell notification on because I go live with videos or publish videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you know somebody that's in the whiskey world that we can get enjoyment out of this, go ahead and share this video with them. And like always, comments are welcome. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of Teeling, what you guys think of the video in general. If you have any comments, just let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me get one last sip in here. I think I should pull something else out of this. Let me concentrate on that finish, and then we'll wrap it up. This is an Irish whiskey that I really do want to like. I'm trying to find something in here that's going to stick with me. the last sip, it's still pretty consistent with my first sip. Nothing sharp, nothing spectacular, medium finish, all around. I think this is just okay. And that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys are enjoying your journey because I certainly am enjoying mine, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.